Hi, I'm Brian Moran, founder of Government CIO. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine.
Hello and welcome to Government CIO Magazine. Today we're sitting down with Mr. Tony Trinkle, Chief Information Officer at CMS. A lot of this is based on, obviously every year we look at our budget and our investments in new systems as well as the existing legacy systems. So much of this is looked at from a systems life cycle perspective. What do we have in place today? What do we have in place in the future? This technology review board that I spoke of earlier does that, as well as when we put together our 300s and other investment vehicles. We look at the existing systems and also projecting out new systems as to where they'll be utilized both now and in the future. We do it in a number of ways. We certainly try to walk before we run. So a lot of what we do is we look at them in very specific environments, pilot test them, start using them with, for example, for mobility. I've got an iPad that I've been testing in terms of utilizing it with our infrastructure here, and we're also looking at cloud computing for some specific applications. So we pilot and test before we run. We also work very closely with the department on a number of these as well, because there's department policies and various guidelines that they do. So it's something we approach over a multi-year way of looking at things, one of which of course ties back to the life cycle of the equipment. So for example, laptops have a 4 to 5 year life, so we want to make sure that we're already moving towards the next stages with them, but also looking at where the marketplace is going. So we consult with people like the Gartners and others, and as well as looking at what are some of the best practices that not only other federal agencies do, but also the private sector as well. Well, technology is really driven by business requirements. We shouldn't be purchasing technology just for its own sake. So part of that really starts off with what are our business imperatives and how are they changing over the next several years, and then how does technology support that. So we work very closely with our business partners on business transformation plans and technology transformation plans, and then look at how we can link them together over the next number of years to make sure we're meeting the changes in business. And as you know, we've had a lot of changes over the past several years because of legislative mandates, most significantly the Affordable Care Act, which has really allowed us to look at ways to change very rapidly, but at the same time it challenges us to change very rapidly. So it's kind of moved us into a different cycle of change than we've ordinarily had to have over the last 20 years. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because we have a big concern about skills atrophy or even the lack of skills. So one of the things I've asked our folks to do is really do a skills inventory, but not just the skills of federal employees, but also the skills of the contracting support team. So then once you look at that, you say, okay, what are the skills that we have in place today? Which ones are being done by the feds? Which ones are being done by contractors? Is the mix correct? Are there gaps between our desired state and today's state? And then what do we need to do to bridge that gap? And that's the process we're in now, is really looking at that across our enterprise. Yeah, well, we're mainly a contracting shop here, a contractor shop, I should say, not as So we do a lot of contracting because we have probably 80-20, with 80% of the workforce is contractor and about 20% is federal employees. So part of what we need to look at is the mix of contractors we have. How are we managing those contracts across the various types of business lines we have, and how do we move forward in the future with getting that right set of skill sets. So you don't want to just have existing contractors who've been here forever doing all of your work. You want to, have a mix of those who understand your environment and new contractors who can provide additional skill sets, maybe additional perspectives, and also help keep the existing contractors who've been here for a while on their toes in terms of bringing in new ideas and approaches. So I think competition is healthy. I think also as we move towards new ways of doing business, how do we develop more flexible contracting vehicles? How do we use things such as cloud computing to help drive different approaches to how we get services? And then how do we, looking down the road, what's the effective mix of contracts done by us in-house and using government-wide vehicles such as GSA schedules? Absolutely. I think one of the keys that we really need to make sure we develop more here is project management skills. We have major programs with very extensive and intensive development schedules, so it's critical that we have people there who can work well as project managers, as systems developers, systems integrators, and other types of skill sets. So it's managing the contractor, managing the project, having enough technical knowledge that you can understand, even if you're not doing the actual coding yourself, you understand that you're getting the value for the dollar. Those are the type of skill sets that we're really looking at in terms of gaps and how we fill them with our employees, and also at various levels too. You don't want to bring everybody into the senior level, so how do you begin to develop this succession planning and career development so you can bring in new people who may have newer technical skill sets but are not as savvy when it comes to knowing the business of how we do things here at CMS. We're actually two of the areas where we're very much looking at new approaches to development, or the whole area of developing the federally facilitated exchange and the data hub to support that. They're doing a lot of agile development there. We also have a lot of projects that are being spun up out of our innovation center. These are projects with very tight deadlines and very quick implementation, so we're also looking very closely to how we can use agile development in both of those areas. We're already doing it pretty much in the exchange area, but now we're beginning to look at how we can do it in the innovation area as well. Absolutely. Part of what we're looking at is not the one-size-fits-all approach, but we've actually worked very closely with our business community on what we call an expedited project life cycle, and it involves looking at several approaches and what are the best types of situations to use their approaches. So I don't like to say that Agile is the best for everything, or some other blueprinting or some other approach is best for all situations, but what are the criteria that we're trying to meet, and then what is the approach or approaches that can best meet that. And we have, as I say, everything from real legacy systems that we're doing continuous releases on just to keep them going, to these brand new projects where we're basically creating new systems out of nothing at this point. So each of them requires different approaches to work. me spend a few moments talking about the work we're doing in shared services. Shared services is basically an enterprise approach that allows us to build certain types of systems that can support a variety of business processes. And one of the challenges of that is developing something that can meet various different types of business requirements. But the good part about that is it moves us away from very program-specific solutions, which is how we've done a lot of our work in the past. So, for example, we're building a enterprise identity management system that will allow us to have an enterprise approach to identity management for both providers and beneficiaries and others where we haven't in the past. We're also building an enterprise portal which will allow a lot of our stakeholders to come in and have tailored approaches to allow them to do multiple business processes with us. And we're also developing something called master data management, which is a way to provide a reference book for providers and other key stakeholders that we can then use across programs. For example, I mentioned with the Affordable Care Act, we're moving towards looking at various ways to pay providers. Traditionally, we've had the fee-for-service way of paying providers, where you pay a provider for service. Now we're moving towards approaches where we will have different payment ways to reward providers based on quality or other types of requirements. To do that requires synchronizing a lot of the information about a provider so you don't end up overpaying them or doing other types of mistakes that could cause overpayments, underpayments, different types of business disruptions. So something like master data management allows us to do that. And then we're looking at other types of shared services, such as eligibility shared service that allow us to look at participant eligibility or beneficiary eligibility across various programs. Things such as business rules, what are some common business rules that we can propagate across. So those are the type of things where we think that shared services can pay some major dividends over the next several years for us.